me introduce your host, Fino and Sasha, the legit king.
It's the start of the show, time to walk through the smoke. When I enter the ring, I jump over the ropes. I feel like Mysterio, I ain't no joke. Titles, I held them both, call me Chris Jericho. Time to cash in my money in the bank. Just like Sheamus when he beat Roman Reigns. Meet me in the cage, like Undertaker when he met Kane. I don't play games, I'm no Triple H. The crowd screaming, you rock like my name's Dwayne. The crowd screaming, you suck like your Kurt Angle. In the ring, I'm the boss just like Sasha Banks. So you'll get whipped like the intro from Sable. King of my stable, don't matter the label. Smackdown or Raw, you get put through a table. Pushed off a ladder or choked with a cable. Throw me a chair, I'ma give him a facial. It's the start of the show, time to walk through the smoke. When I enter the ring, I jump over the ropes.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the wrestling podcast known as Ring Champs. This is episode 10. And I am your host, I'm your boy, Just Fino, and I'm here with my co-host, the one and only, Sasha, the legit king. Sasha, say what's up to the people.
What's up, people? Hope everybody is making the best of the last few days. But, yeah.
How you been, Sasha?
It's been, I know I normally don't have as an exuberant opening as you do, but it's kind of hard to hide. Like, it's been really tough the last few days, especially as a wrestling fan. Like, it's been probably one of the more difficult weeks in a long time for us as fans. But on the other hand, another day that you're able to see the sun is always a good one. So, bittersweet, I guess.
I gotta agree with you. It's been a rough week for sure. I mean, so we took a little break because of my birthday. My birthday was Wednesday the 23rd. And
Wyatt's birthday.
Yep, same day as Kobe. May you rest in peace. And then after that, it's just like we got bad news after bad news. The following day, Terry Funk unfortunately passed away. And then the day after that, Bray Wyatt passed away. And so, yeah, it's been definitely a rough week for sure. I mean, it was to a point where I couldn't even really talk about or even look at anything Bray Wyatt because I just got emotional, which is... We were going to record a couple days ago, and we just decided not to because it's just like we needed some time. But I think now we're at a point where we can talk about it, and now, we can reflect, about the great careers of both of the gentlemen. And that's exactly where we'll start off. So, like I mentioned, Terry Funk passed away. He was known to a lot of people as like a GOAT.
Yeah.
And he definitely was. I mean, he had a legendary career spanning so many different promotions. It was... I'll be honest, I didn't know too much about Funk, but the things that I have seen from him, I mean, there's no wonder why he's considered, very special. Well, you have any thoughts and saying about Terry Funk?
I think one of the more interesting things about Terry Funk is a lot of people want to talk about, like, your wrestling Mount Rushmore. You get that question all the time. I personally hate answering those questions, but I found it interesting that a lot of probably our favorite wrestlers would put Terry Funk on their Mount Rushmore, so it's kind of like he's your favorite wrestler to some people, like especially like a person like a Mick Foley, who has been, very influential, even so much so, like, I know we're going to talk about Bray in a minute. I kind of forgot that at the scenes that, like, Bray was using, like, the mandible claw, which was, connected to Mick Foley, obviously, but, Terry Funk, saying that you know, as much as we all hate to admit it, like, you know, it might be hard to have people believe that wrestling is real, but then, you know, you always believe Cherry Funk is real. I think that's just always the true mark of a great talent. And, you know, for him to be, you know, relevant, like, he would come in and out, like, he's been around for a long time. Like, you know, he was, you know, champion, and he was, you know, Chainsaw Charlie, even, like, in the, you know, famous Hell in a Cell match with Taker and Mankind, like, he was involved in that too, like, and then, you know, formerly Dean, you know, John Moxley was formerly Dean Ambrose, when he was getting ready to, you know, wrestle Brock Lesnar WrestleMania 32, like, they brought in Terry Funk, you know, to kind of help him, you know, bring that hardcore out. So he's always managed to just be around, and even if he is hardcore fan, you know, we might be familiar with him, but he might be, you know, kind of outside of when we started watching wrestling. He was always had a hand in it. So, you know, Funker had a good life. He had a good long life, and he'll be remembered as he should be. You know, definitely just thoughts and prayers to his family, and, you know, I'm glad that, you know, you see so many wrestlers, you know, they have a contentious relationship with the business, or, you know, they don't live long enough, but he loved wrestling, and he had, I would think, a pretty good long life, so that's always good.
That's definitely true. I you know, he was also known, you know, like you mentioned, the hardcore guy. I remember he did some death matches with Foley.
Yeah.
So, like, I definitely do remember that, and he'll definitely be missed in the rest of the world. But let's now talk about, I think, the guy that it hit us both the hardest. Was the
Wait, before we get to Bray, like, we had another loss. It wasn't like as big in the wrestling world, but, like, I know we're gonna spend a lot of time talking about Bray, so can we just get this other one out the way real quick?
Well, we also, yeah, so I believe this happened on Saturday.
Yeah, it's not like maybe big to a lot of people, but it was still wrestling related, I feel like.
Well, yeah, so, yeah, the death of Bob Barker. He died at age 99.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, he didn't have a big part in the wrestling world, but that one part that he did have, I think, was truly legendary. That old little guest host spot where he did the Price is Right on Monday Night Raw. He had the little baby feud with Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
I mean, that was awesome. And I think you mentioned this, you texted me this immediately, like, he needs to be inducted into the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame. I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, people have been inducted for a lot less, you know? So, I mean, I've been saying that for years. Not trying to be morbid, but I was like, he was very much up there in age, guys. Like, let's try to get him in there before, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But, yeah, The Priceless Raw was probably one of my favorite segments. You know, everything down from his interactions with Jericho to even something as small as how they got the little name tag to stick to Jericho's chest. He wasn't wearing a shirt. Like, you know, just when they announced it, they're in Chicago, and, you know, Chicago's like a notorious crowd, so there was a good chance that they probably would have not liked it, but it turned out to be great. And, you know, Bob Barker is very quick on his feet, and we all know, like, he's the GOAT when you're not feeling good, or maybe you're faking not feeling good and you don't go to school. So, you know, I really just wish they had been able to get him in there and, you know, just kind of thank him for his service. Because, like I said, he came in as an outsider. He's a complete professional, and Chris Jericho even called him the best, you know, guest host in Raw history, which I've been inclined to believe. So, I just think that he definitely needs to be recognized too. Again, living a long life, a little longer than the Funkers, but, you know, definitely wanted to give Bob Barker his flowers.
And they're well deserved for sure. Well
Stay
deserved.
into your pets, guys.
Yeah, I still, remember going, whenever I was out of school or called out sick or whatever, Price is Right was always on. I want to say 11 o'clock every day. So
Yep.
it's hard to not know he's not around anymore, but he did have a legendary career in his short time in the WWE, and of course as the host of The Price is Right. So now let's get on to talking about Bray Wyatt. This one was tough. I think this was probably the toughest death in the wrestling business I've had since Eddie, honestly. And this was really, this was the first. Well, it was just the first. Well, technically, this is the second active roster member dying since Eddie, if you count Benoit. But this was hard. I remember when I first heard it. Well, you texted me. I had just texted you about a topic we should talk about. The funny thing was, like, he could have potentially been a part of that conversation that topic. And then literally maybe like 10 minutes later, you texted me that news, and I didn't believe you. I had to, just so shocked. I was like, nah, she's just fucking with me.
I don't know why I would do that. Not about that.
I mean, who wants to joke about death? I get it. It's just,
I get it. It was the shock. You're like, nah, that's not right. It's not true. Like, I get it.
Then when I saw John Can talk about it, and I saw everyone talking about it, I was like, all right. Sasha wasn't joking with me.
That's how I found out. I saw that with John.
I was just like, wow. I was such in shock. It didn't hit me. So I found out, I think you texted me around 5 o'clock that day about it. It didn't really hit me till like 3 a.m. and I just broke down. I was playing his theme song over. I love his last theme. Well, I've loved all three of his themes that he's had. The Bray Wyatt one, the original Wyatt family one, the Fiend one, and then this last one when he made his return. I loved all three of those, but I was playing his last one because that's like my favorite one. And I just broke down. I was like, it finally, like, that's when the tears came out, and it was tough, man. He died of a heart attack at age 36. Such a young age. It's kind of crazy. It's hard to believe. It really is. I mean, this is a man that everyone can easily say he was a genius when it came to creative thinking. With all of his characters and all, just everything he's done in the business so far. I mean, he's been in WWE since 2010. Didn't become Bray Wyatt to 2011, and then main roster the next year. Like, it was just like 2 years later. After that, he was in the main roster. So he's been basically a part of our lives for over 13 years, basically, close to 13 years. It's crazy. It's really crazy. What do you got to say about it?
I mean, when I saw it, like I said, I logged on to Facebook, and usually when news, not like that, but when it's like news, John always pops up on my feed first, get some kind of news. I'm not sure why, maybe it's the algorithm, I don't know. But I read it, I stopped, I read it again, because he attached the tweet that Triple H said. I read the tweet a couple of times, and I was like, wait, what? And I didn't know. Like, I just was like, I told you. I was like, I don't know what. I couldn't believe it. But I think there's so many factors that make this as sad as it is, you know. Above all else, he was a man. He was a father. I believe he was engaged to JoJo. I heard they were going to get married this year. So we'll just go ahead and just say that he was a husband. Like, we'll group him in there. We'll take it. He was a brother. He was a son. It's like a friend. Like, and being 36. Like, I'm 34. And I've had people that I've known that are very close to my age die in the last like year or so. So it's always weird when people in your age group are passing like that. It's always strange because you understand that there's a beginning and end to life, but you look at somebody like a Cherry Funk and a Bob Barker, and I think like in an idyllic world, you would just think that people would make it that long to a 79 or a 99. You know, that's kind of the hope.
Yeah.
So you see 36, like, what really took me out was, you know, they show the year of your birth and the year you passed, and I'm like 1987. I'm like, wow. But like you mentioned too, it's difficult because people don't really understand wrestling fandom. We know that, but you're essentially watching somebody grow. Like, you're tied to these people because you're watching them go through all these. It's essentially like watching your child grow up. Like, you're seeing them from where they start, who they become, their victories, their the times when they fall, all that stuff. So you have an emotional connection. So we're husky hairs. Like, I remember we was husky hairs, you know, just this guy. They kept saying he was like I forgot what they were saying. Something, he had some kind of body with some kind of engine. I forget what it is, but I always thought that was kind of cute. But remembering, like, when I saw those vignettes for the Wyatt family and thinking, oh wow, this is crazy, this is different. I was already sold. When I saw the vignettes, I was like, oh shit, here we go, you know. To him, you know, the different changes, and I know we've talked about it, like our previous podcast, we talked about him being the Fiend, and I know I was kind of like always of the mindset, like, I don't have a problem with him as a wrestler. I have a problem with feeling like they weren't sure what to do. Like, his character was always kind of hard because as amazing and creative it was kind of difficult, I think, sometimes to make work in this landscape, you know. But it was never a knock on him. It was always like, this is a hard thing to deal with. This is it's not easy to take something so creative. And I think I saw somebody say that they kind of wish that he had been in movies. Because I'm like, yeah, he would have been amazing. Like, I think almost to a point where maybe he was a little bigger than wrestling, if that makes sense. Like, he had such creativity. I wonder what he could have done outside of that. But nonetheless, he just came back. Like, he just came back. Left again, and to think that besides the fact that he was so young, I don't know. I knew we were going to talk about this. I'll be honest, I kind of didn't want to. It's like, I was there at WrestleMania 30, like, when he came out against John Cena and they had the live performance, and then, you know me, I was the Luke Harper girl, so seeing Rowan and Strowman there was really, really hard too. It's kind of like, I remember being excited about the Wyatt family and just a couple years later, there's only 2 of them left. So that's pretty sobering, I guess, to think about. Like I said, obviously, I didn't want to talk about this, but I'm glad that we are. It's just there's so much to say, but then it's kind of like I don't.
No, I get it. I'll be honest. I mean, obviously, this is not a topic anyone wants to really talk about.
Yeah.
But I think the best thing about it is, the appreciation that he is receiving. All the stories that are coming out about how not only a great person he was, but great family man. I mean, I believe he's a father of 4 kids. I thought it was only 2, but I think it's 4.
He had 2 little girls before he was with JoJo. Yep. Right.
So, I mean, you hear all these great things. Becky Lynch, for example, last night after Raw talked about a story. She talked to the crowd and was like, he helped her, even though he had a match for a big pay-per-view coming up, like that day. He spent the entire time with her working on her match and helping her and teaching her how to do certain things for her match instead of focusing on his. Like, it's just something so small like that. It's crazy. It's like you mentioned, he died at 36. That's so close to, where I'm at. Like, I just had a birthday. I'm 32. So it's like, damn. It's. I think the thing too about Bray, you talked about creative not knowing what to do with him. It's such a hard character to portray in this time, just because everyone thinks they know everything and everyone tries to know everything, so it's hard to be that type of character and still be at the top of the game like he was. The fact that he was able to do it just speaks to the values of how great he was. I remember a lot of people used to, they used to compare him to like The Undertaker.
Yeah.
And you can honestly say he was the closest thing ever to The Undertaker, to that mystique, to that type of character. He was the modern day version of it. And I think that when he came back this last time, you were seeing even more of it. The whole QR code, the whole spooky stuff, the Uncle Howdy, who, we all know was Bo Dallas. Like, it was just a lot of stuff, but it just shows how creative, such a creative mind that he had. And they just allowed him to do great things. I mean, he won the WWE Championship. He's won the Universal title twice. He's had legendary feuds, in my opinion. You go back to the Cena one, the one that you saw at WrestleMania 30, which he should have won, by the way.
I agree.
He had legendary feuds with The Undertaker and Kane when it was just him versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 31, which I think he should have won, and I think he should have been the one to take the streak. But that's another, for another day. The one with Daniel Bryan, which I think really helped the Yes movement really be created. That kind of started it, I feel like. Or I can't remember if it was before the Triple H, before the Authority, or was it after? I think it was before.
It was a little bit before. It was
a little bit before, right? Okay, so that's really
then they
what
had the match at the Rumble.
Okay, that's right. Okay, so I remember the steel cage match where the last thing you see is Bryan overcoming Wyatt, and then he's on the cage, got concussed, but he still did the yes chant above the cage. I remember that moment like crazy, like it was yesterday. Then you got the feuds with the Shield. I mean, I still remember that legendary 6-man tag match they had in Elimination Chamber 2014.
Or they Before they even touched each other, the crowd was like, "This is awesome," and it was. It was awesome. I love it.
It really was. I mean, they had battles with the New Day, that was a good feud. It had a weird moment at one point, but other than that, it was still a good feud. I mean, he's had a really great career. I hope that he goes into the Hall of Fame next year because it's well deserved. I think that he should also I love the whole tributes that they did on Friday for SmackDown and what they did a little bit they did on Raw. But I think the Friday one was really, really special, especially the ending.
Yeah.
I just thought that was very, very great. And to this day, I think I said it on this podcast. I know I've told my friends this, but one of the best wrestling moments I've ever had in my life was when I was a Firefly. It was right before Christmas. WWE came to ECU, my college, East Carolina University, same school that Vince went to. And he had a match, and he came out. He was the Firefly. They had the lights out, and I got to do the Firefly thing. It's still one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen in my life. Just a great moment, and I will forever be a Firefly because of that.
Yeah,
I love Bray.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think maybe the last time I saw him live was Rumble 2017, and that's when Randy had joined the Wyatt family, which we talked about in our previous podcast. Like, again, it wasn't him. I just feel like sometimes they took the uniqueness of the character and they kind of went overboard sometimes, when I think the beauty in that character could have been the simplicity of it. Because then later that year, it was him and Randy for the title. But yeah, I remember being there. Randy won the Royal Rumble that year. You know, the late great Luke Harper was in the Rumble, and that pop when Luke almost gave Bray the Sister Abigail, but then Randy saved him. Just thinking like, man, that would have been the three of them. What could have been was just great. And then even little things like him and, you know, Woken Matt Hardy, just little things like that. Just
won the tag team titles.
Yeah, I mean, I know we said he's been around for a long time, but as Bray Wyatt, you know, being there,
yeah, no, like I definitely understand that.
Yeah, to pack all of that into just pack all that into 10 years, the creativity, and I was actually looking forward to him coming back because I was like thinking about that promo he did when he got back, and then you're looking at Uncle Howdy, and I'm thinking like, does he have multiple personalities? Like, it was still towards the end, just thinking like, where's he going with this? Just always interested, you know. Yeah, it's crazy. That Shield match, my favorite. It's my comfort. Watch it every year. Don't care. Watch it every year. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
He will definitely be missed. That is for sure. And you mentioned that promo when he came back. I mean, that was like the real Bray Wyatt coming out. That was Wyndham talking.
And I'm glad he got that.
I've yet to rewatch it since the news happened, but I will eventually. But that was, yeah. I still remember the return at Extreme Rules, like that. That was crazy at the end of the show. Just him coming out and everyone just going crazy, like that. That was special. I did watch that. But I couldn't watch the promo yet. Couldn't watch that one yet. But I'll probably watch it after this or soon. But yeah, he'll definitely be missed. He's a legendary character. You know, I want to give a shout out to Seth Rollins. I don't know if you noticed, but on the championship belt, he had the side place for Bray.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So shout out to that. Also shout out to my tribal chief, Roman, for what he did. So he didn't appear on screen, but he did go to SmackDown, and he did give the Universal title, the blue one, to Bray's family, and officially retired it.
Yeah,
I thought that was a very, very, very great gesture from Roman. I mean, that's crazy. You know, he was the first one to have that title, the blue version of it.
yeah.
So, you know, that was a good thing to see.
Just thinking everybody from that era, like you said, a Seth and a Roman, and I know Jon Moxley's not in WWE, but man, just think those battles that they had. Like I said, I love that they brought Eric Rowan back, and Braun is out with an injury, but he came back, and I love that they did that. And you know what? Even I like LA Knight. You know, I know we always joke, and you know you're a huge LA Knight fan, but man, I hate the circumstances that it was under, but I really have to give respect for him for what he did. Like going out there and cutting that promo, and he was like, you know, hey, we weren't the best of friends, but that was his last, you know, feud before he, you know, left and ultimately passed. But the way he spoke about him, you know, that was his peer, that was somebody who, you know, he said, you know, he did a lot for me. And to see how he was able to not only keep the feud going with The Miz, because to me it's kind of like you're kind of doing a cool thing. Like, I would think, I don't know Wyndham or Bray like that, but you're still going on with your character. Like, you're still doing that, and you're talking about somebody, a peer that you know, you respect, that you have, that you care for. And even the way he said, you know, run at the end. Like, I swear, you close your eyes, it's like, oh, it's not like Bray said it, you know? So I really appreciated that promo he did. It was simple, but it was very beautiful little tribute. I really appreciated that he did that. And, yeah, man, just, it's crazy. You kind of, again, you see where he came from, and, you know, losing him so soon, and it's like, man. But you're glad that you got to see it. You're sad that it's over, but it's like, look at what he did in such a short amount of time. Like,
and
yeah.
And he affected so many people in such positive ways that I think it's only going to make people better. You gotta. Sometimes, you know, bad things happen, but you gotta look at the positives of it. And you know, he had a very legendary career, and I think that, you know, it's gonna help lift a lot of people. And I mean, I guess that's the best way to think about it. You know, sometimes you just gotta think that way. But
he's a testament to a creative mind. You know, in wrestling, it's easy just to do a generic thing or kind of go with what's cool, but man, he's different, and I hope that there's more different creative minds out there that want to be, not even in the wrestling business, just in general, just be that brave and be that fearless to be like, hey, I'm gonna do something different, you know. So definitely inspiration to that.
Don't stop. Just go after it. That's it. All right. So let's move on to the next topic. The next topic I wanted to talk about is the potential end of another legendary career. Edge wrestled his last match. Potentially his last match in WWE and potentially ever. Not this past Friday, but a week ago from this past Friday in Toronto, Canada. He had his last match against Sheamus, which I thought was a great match. I mean, Edge, what more can we say? The man ended it on the way. If this is his end, he ended it the way that he wanted it to. I think, this was a man that his career, unfortunately, had ended a lot earlier than we all expected due to injury. But he was able to come back after a very long time. I want to say, what was it, 11 years?
9 years.
9 years. It feels like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, 9 years, and now he ended it on his terms. What do you have to say about Edge?
I wish we could induct him twice, because it would have been a cool thing to be like, hey, you came back 9 years later, Hall of Famer. But no. I have not watched that match for Sheamus. I don't think that I am ready for that, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not ready. If this is it for him, I think it's wonderful. He's going to be, I believe, 50 this year. I'm so happy that he got to come back. I don't care how many times that I see it on my timeline. If I'm scrolling and somebody posts that picture of him coming back, I'll stop and watch it. I don't care. I love me some Edge, and like I said, I don't think I'm ready to watch that and accept that it's done, even though I knew it was coming. But he's another one, just kind of like Bray. Like, he was different. He went after what he wanted, and it had some bumps, in the road with him not being able to wrestle for a long time. But I've watched a lot of Edge documentaries and heard a lot of his interviews and things like that. And I read his book when it came out, like, many years ago, where he came from and that determination. And this man does not know the words give up. Like, he just does not comprehend those words at all. But again, that's like a testament to how we all kind of should live our lives, because this man did not give up. Like, medically, they were like, nope, you can't do this anymore. And it was almost a decade, but he came back and got to do it. And he's had such a beautiful life, Again, just getting to go out on your own terms. And, if that's it, if that was it and it was a SmackDown, I mean, think about that brand extension. He was part of the SmackDown 6. And I think it was him and Ray that were just left in active competition on SmackDown. So to know that people are like, oh, why didn't he go out on a PLE? It's like, that made perfect sense, actually, for him to go out on a SmackDown. Like, it actually made beautiful sense.
And in Toronto.
Yeah, in Toronto. Again, it's like, this man has had a beautiful life. Like, you look at it and it's like so many storybook things in the midst of the struggles, and he just made it work. So if this is it, I'm super happy, even though I haven't seen it. Maybe I'll go and watch it. I'm not ready yet for that. One thing I didn't want to touch on, though, I saw, and I think he dispelled that. He put a video out. People are like, he's going to AEW. I try to be very biased. We joke on the show that you're the one that's going to most likely go on the rant, and I don't really rant, but I'm not interested at all in that AEW stuff. Like, no, I don't want to hear that. I was like, nope, it's not happening. I felt like if I was his publicist, shutting it down, because I'm like, it's not happening, don't be stupid. But he's WWE, man. Like, that's him. Outside of being like Damian Stryker for like all of 2 seconds in WCW, like, Edge has been WWE. So I don't want to hear nothing about AEW and Christian's there. Like, nah. In a perfect world, Tony Khan will let Christian come and they would get in the ring, or he'd be inducted into the Hall of Fame, let him get on stage and give him one last 5-second pose. And if you're young kids out there don't know, go look it up. And to me, that would be the end. Like, that's where we put the bookmark in. Like, we're done. We're finished. So.
I agree with that. I don't want to see him in AEW, although I get why he would. I do understand why he would, if it's because of Christian. But I do like the fact that he did dispel the rumor about, that he asked for something crazy and WWE declined it. I definitely believe him in that. and I just can't wait for, I guess his decision. It'd be great to see him come back, but if that is the end, then what a great way to end it. I also love the fact, though, that, like I said before, he ended it on his terms, and I think that's the most important thing about it. If it is the end, it was his way. It was in front of his family, in front of his hometown. It was on SmackDown, which was even better. Yes, it would have been great to end it at a WrestleMania or something like that, but he got his moment. And what more can you want for his legendary career? I mean, that's all I can just think. It's like, I'm just happy and grateful to even just have witnessed it. I watched it live. I made sure to not miss it. From his legendary theme song to he's just everything about him was legendary. His Edge and Christian was legendary. Rated R Superstar was legendary. I mean, it's just everything. He came back. It wasn't like he underperformed or he wasn't the old Edge. He was the old Edge when he came back. Like, that is for sure. His feuds with Seth Rollins, for example, were awesome. Hell in a Cell. He had 2 Hell in a Cell matches coming back. Like, that's crazy.
I mean, he gave us Judgment Day. Like, he's still doing big things. Like, he was still, I would love for him to be like a coach or something. He just seems like another creative mind. Like, and he just seems like he would just be good at mentoring people. Like, he sees, because think about it, he's the one that said, like, hey, when I'm forming this group, I want these people in my group. You pick Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, and it's like, he has an eye. Like, he clearly gets it. So I would love for him to do something like that.
Yeah, you speak about group, Judgment Day, like you mentioned. I mean, look what they're doing now. Been dominated. So
the program.
Obviously, that was a great move on his part, and it is leading to great things. So we definitely gotta be happy about everything Edge has done before and after. And if this is the end, we're just happy that it was the way it ended. And if he comes back, he does have a contract in the mailbox, like he said. He just has to sign it and come back. That would be great. Have one more Mania match. I would love to see it, but if not, it's okay. I'm totally fine with the way it is.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's poetic. Because what else can you do outside of, like I said, having him and Christian do one more pose? It's like, came back, you won a Royal Rumble, you've had these great feuds, you main evented WrestleMania again,
Yeah, that's true.
So you've done so much. You got to team with your wife more than once, which is, I always thought those were fun. Like, I liked when he was teaming with Beth. I really love that. Yeah, man, so much. Just, I'm happy. I feel like this is it, and I'm happy that it was it. I can't think of a better way.
The only thing I wish would have happened, I wish he would have got a title. I don't like anything, whether it's been Intercontinental or tag team. That's the only thing I wish he would have gotten. Just see one more.
Decorated champion they have, though. Like, I think ever. I think they said he's one of the
most. Yeah, I know. It just would have been nice to see a belt around his waist one more time. Other than that, I didn't. That's the only thing. If I had to ask for anything, that's what I would have asked for.
I do wish that when Christian did come back, it wasn't during the pandemic Royal Rumble when they hugged. Like, that's one thing. The title, I get it, but I wish that they'd had that moment in front of a crowd, because maybe that would have satisfied that part of me that still wants that from them. Like, I appreciated it. Like, I almost teared up, but it was like, imagine how much more that would have done if the crowd had been there to see that, like him and Christian together. But that's what Maggie goes.
That's true. That is true. I forgot about that. That did happen during the pandemic.
Yeah, and that's the one he ended up winning. So, Edge, I mean. But yeah, Edge, right now, superstar. Gonna go blast on Ulster Bridge. Man, can we talk about the Judgment Day theme song real quick? I love that song too. Like, Edge can really pick 'em, boy. I love that song. Like, I love Edge's musical taste. Like, he's a Foo Fighter guy. I love Foo, like Pearl Jam. Like, I feel like I could sit with him one day and be like, let's talk music. I think that would be fun. I'd love to do that.
Well, from one legendary man, let's talk about a legendary event that did take place this past Sunday. As we go on to the next topic. And the next topic, AEW All In at Wembley Stadium. It sold the most tickets for a wrestling event of all time. 81,035. It wasn't sold out, but it was still sold that many tickets, the most ever.
I mean, that's nothing to sneeze about. That's pretty good.
That's pretty damn good. I got to give them major credit for that. It's like they said. They first said they couldn't sell 10,000. They sold 10,000, and now they sold the most tickets ever in a single event. I got to give major props out to AEW, Tony Khan, and everybody over there. I actually did purchase the show. I watched it. I thought it was good. It wasn't their best event, or it wasn't great, but I say it was good. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. I love what's going on over there, though. As far as some things over in AEW, of course, the MJF Adam Cole feud or pairing, I guess you can say. I'm loving that story. That is their best story, and I think that is the second best story in wrestling right now, obviously behind the Bloodline. But they're doing some good things over there. There's a lot of issues that they need to take care of. There was another Punk issue that happened over the weekend as well. Another fight, I guess you can call it. They gotta figure something out with that. But another great thing that happened is that Saraya won the women's championship in her hometown, or home country. I don't know if it's hometown, but home country, in front of her family, in front of all her friends, and that was a great moment. That's another person that came back after having to retire due to unfortunate circumstances with an injury, but she came back and now she's a champion. So you got to give major props out to Saraya for doing that. I know that was a great moment. I wish they would have got more time, though. An 8-minute match, the shortest match by far on the card. That they got to do better with the women's division over there. But speaking of the women's division, their women's division might get a huge boost because there was someone at the event that it broke my heart when I saw them. But they sold them several times. But Mercedes Moné, formerly known as Sasha Banks, was in attendance, and she was on camera several times. She's still out with injury, but she is shown, and I think her being shown there is that she's going to work for AEW. I don't think she's going to sign a long-term contract or anything. I do see her performing over there, though, doing a couple of events and stuff like that. But it would break my heart, though, she does sign a long-term deal with AEW. I think we all know where her home is. She deserves to be home. She needs to come back home. I would love it sooner than later. But that is a big story. And to me, that was the biggest story coming out of that event, which they're going to do again next year. They're going back to Wembley Stadium next year. So, they may even break their record again. I don't know. We'll see. But major props to AEW for that event. I know you're not a big AEW fan, but I did want to make sure we do mention it because it was a big deal. It was a big
Yeah.
deal. It just means that the wrestling business is prospering. I mean, I don't know. I've said this before, but I understand that it was probably technically more popular back in the day by a lot of people's accounts. But honestly, I still say today the business is not only way better, we know that, but I think it's more popular now than it was back then. I still say that. And I don't. There's all the numbers are telling me that's the same case.
I think you just gotta look at because think about it, they were able to get popular based on TV ratings. There was no social media. The internet was there, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. So I think you could be right. There could be a case made for that because there's so many more ways to consume the product and a lot more mainstream. We had a whole episode about that with The Rock, being streamed. So I agree. Wrestling, it's crazy. Not to dwell on Bray Wyatt, but I saw where they broke it news on CNN when he passed, and even on the local radio station, that was one of their topics. They were talking about the next. I think on Monday morning, I was taking my kids to school. That's how my daughter found out that he passed. So, it was. Yeah, it's definitely way more popular.
ESPN talked about it. I mean, it was everywhere. It really was everywhere, like you said. I just truly believe that all the money they're making, all the record-breaking numbers, it's crazy what they're doing. Both companies are doing really well, and you can honestly say all the wrestling companies are doing pretty well right now. New Japan is expanding into the North America, doing sellout shows over here. You got Impact doing well. Everyone seems to be upgrading, and that's all you want for the wrestling business. So, I got to give all the props to AEW for helping to expand wrestling. Maybe one day they can get the casual fans. I don't know if they will, but hopefully that will be the next step to even growing the wrestling business even more. Would be so. Great job by them. All right, so now let's get into the next topic, or I guess the main topic of the day. So WWE is going to be running a PLE this Saturday known as Payback. Now, this is, I think, the card for this pay-per-view is pretty damn good. I mean, honestly, looking at the matches, I was like, oh, shoot. I didn't realize how great this card is until I sat down and just looked at it. We got several title matches. Currently, we have 4 title matches on the line. We have a steel cage match, a street fight. I think we're gonna add. I think there's gonna be another title match added to this card too. I can see. Before I even mention that, let me go ahead and break down and tell everybody what the matches are for this card. So we got Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus in a steel cage match. We have Seth freaking Rollins defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. We got Rhea Ripley defending her Women's World Championship against Raquel Rodriguez. We got Rey Mysterio defending his United States Championship against Austin Theory. We have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defending their undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships against the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest in a Steel City street fight. And then we got my boy, LA Knight, versus The Miz in just a regular match. I think a match that could be added to this card is going to be Io Sky versus Bianca. I think that is definitely a possibility. because right now that's only 6 matches on the card. Now, I mean, I'll be happy with seeing just 6 matches because that means everyone's going to get time. But I think Io Sky deserves to be on this card as being a champion and just recently winning the title at SummerSlam. I think that it would be great to see her actually defend the title on a PLE. The very next PLE, I think this would be great. She did just defend it against Zelina Vega in a winning effort. But it would be great to see her against Bianca on a bigger stage, which is Payback in Pittsburgh. Sasha, what do you think about this card?
We talked about it off air, how it felt like kind of snuck up, like it was really, really fast. I think that this card is a testament, again, to the new, the way they're handling creative. I know there was some talk about matches like, Becky versus Trish being left off SummerSlam, but I think that was actually a genius move, and I was not mad about that, just to be honest with you. I think a lot of these feuds, instead of trying to shoehorn them into SummerSlam, because it was SummerSlam, they had more time to, to kind of simmer. We don't have a bloodline match at all on this card, if you've noticed. So the fact that it's a pretty damn good card, and there's some people that were maybe on SummerSlam that are not going to be on Payback, but it's still good. It's it kind of a testament to it. Like I said, Becky and Trish have been going on and on for months, so that's good. Trish's first time in a steel cage. I'm trying to see if Lita's going to come. That would be awesome for me. I'm a huge Lita fan, and that would be a nice little icing on the cake, seeing that Zoe Stark is ringside. So I'm looking forward to that, to see if that happens.
And with it being called Payback, what a perfect way to get Payback. Yep. That would be great. And I also just want to mention they had a great Falls Count Anywhere match last night at Raw. Becky Lynch versus Zoe Stark, and that was a great match. So that was a nice little tie-in into this steel cage. So yeah, I didn't even think about Lita, but that would be great. That would be a great idea.
Yeah, Raquel and Rhea. I know people were like, Rhea doesn't get to defend, but I mean, the way that they've had this feud, I was already excited from jump to see them go at it. But I really like how they've been building it. So I'm looking forward to that. You know me. Anytime Senior Money in the Bank is around, I'm excited. So I'm definitely excited about that. But even this, I'm starting to really get into this JD McDonough thing and Finn and Judgment Day. I really like it. I want to see where they're going to go. So that's interesting. Even with Seth, I know last time we talked, I was really kind of down about the fact that Finn didn't win and this and that. But I really like how they transitioned Seth to Shinsuke. Because I think I forget about Shinsuke. I think he came in with such, I don't want to say hype because I don't want to seem like he didn't deserve it. Fanfare, I guess. And it's been kind of up and down with him. But I like this Shinsuke. And honestly, I'm not trying to, get the belt off of Seth. But what they're saying about his back and him taking some time off, I wouldn't be mad at Shinsuke having him run. I would not be at all.
Me either.
I think it would be different. I'd wonder who they would have for him next. Because you know me, I'm always looking at what's next. You're going to do this, what you're going to do after that. I'm not even mad at it. I've gotten over the Finn thing because it's still going on. I wanted Finn to have a run with the title, but I mean, Shinsuke has never had it on the main roster. So, I like how they did that seamlessly. It didn't feel like it came out of nowhere. Shinsuke was on the TV, he was being seen every week. He's going to that thing with Ciampa and Bronson Reed, but then for him to confront Seth, to me, I just like the storytelling. I like the fact that it didn't seem random, and I can actually sit there and believe. I can see that going down. So
yeah, and he was teasing heel turn for weeks. So he finally officially turned when he attacked Seth. So I do agree with you on that. And as far as what's next, I forgot to also mention they were also going to get Cody Rhodes is going to be there on the Grayson Waller effect. He's going to be, that's also going to happen at the show. So I forgot to mention that. But speaking of what could be next, if Shinsuke was to win, which I think could possibly happen.
It would be shocking for sure.
It would definitely be shocking. So I would love to see Shinsuke with the title. But what could be next is I would like to see Cody versus Shinsuke. I think that could be a good. I already know the matches are going to be good. We got two legendary wrestlers right there. So I think that would be a nice feud. Let Seth take a break if that's what he needs. And let Shinsuke with the title against Cody for a while. And then have Seth come back and then, they can feud again for the title. Like, that would be fine. But I like that. I do like Shinsuke as a heel. Mm-hmm. He fits the heel role. And it kind of, I wasn't watching New Japan when he was there. I actually started watching like a little bit after he left. But I know that he was a heel in New Japan for a little while. And I think this is kind of similar to what that could be like. So if that's the case, give it to me. I like him speaking Japanese only and stuff like that. Like, I like that. Like, it's fire. And me being an anime guy, it kind of reminds me of like the bad guy, the villain in the animes and stuff like that. So I like it. I like the Shinsuke Nakamura we're getting, and hopefully it does lead to a championship win sooner rather than later, because he's also getting up in age. So it'd be nice to have him get a title. Like you said, he hasn't had a title on the main roster. He's only won the NXT.
He hasn't had the major title, right?
Right, major title. That's right.
The big one, yeah.
So that would be great to see. What do you think about? Actually, let's talk about it. My boy LA Knight versus The Miz. I personally, personally, excuse me. Personally, I mean, these are the two of the best talkers in the business for sure. They proved it with their promo work.
They kind of look alike too.
Yeah, when Miz came out yesterday, I popped because I was like, "Oh shit, LA Knight's here!" And then I was like, "Oh wait, that's Miz, but he looks just like him."
You were like, Wade Barrett was super excited. Michael, that's not him.
Like, that was crazy. Like, Miz does a great job at that. By the way,
he does.
He's done it as The Rock. Who else he did? He did it as someone else. I forgot who, but I remember The Rock one was great. I love The Miz, man. I'm loving this feud. I really am. I know that there's some people upset because, the whole brand extension thing, having Miz on SmackDown, LA Knight on Raw. Who cares? We're getting more of LA Knight.
Yeah, obviously they don't care themselves, so it's like, okay. Like, just do it. It's good. Forget it. Let it go.
Perfect. More LA Knight's finally getting the shine. He's, they're finally pushing him to where, I mean, they've been pushing him, but like, he's getting high profile matches. Facing The Miz, it doesn't matter that The Miz is no longer considered, he's not the main event guy. He's kind of like now the guy that helps put the next person over. But that's fine because Miz is still a threat. He's still credible. He's still the only two-time Grand Slam champion.
I think Seth is the other one.
Did Seth become?
Yeah, I looked it up. Seth is the other one.
Okay. So,
but he was the first.
Well, Miz is the first. So he's still credible. He's still going to be a threat because of his mic skills. He's going to put anyone over. He's going to also bash them at the same time. I thought Miz did an excellent promo last night against LA Knight. And I can't wait to hear what LA Knight says in response. You mentioned the promo LA Knight did on SmackDown. To use the Bray Wyatt thing to turn into the Miz, heat on Miz. Like it was crazy and it was awesome. It was a great job by both men. I'm looking forward to this match. Even though this should be an easy win for LA Knight, it should still be. It's still a hyped up match because of just what they've done to uplift this feud. So I'm really happy for it.
I agree.
So you touched on it, but let's dive deep a little bit more into your boy Senor Money in the Bank, Damian Priest and Finn Balor. They're having inter feuds in the Judgment Day. They're going for the tag team titles against Owens and Zayn in a Steel City Street fight. Do you think they're going to take the titles away from them?
No, I don't.
You do not believe that? I have a feeling they are. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that they're going to take these titles. And I think believe it or not, I think win or loss, it helps the feud between between Judgment Day. Either way, but I still see like this, them winning. I think it can help extend the feud longer. Like if they lose, then it's gonna be like everyone's just gonna think, oh, they're gonna break up and stuff like that. But if they win it, you can extend this feud a little bit longer. I don't know what the next event is or anything like that. Maybe Survivor Series or something like that. But I don't know. And with Owens and Zayn being hurt, maybe they need some time off. It is a street fight, so that would be a way to write them off for a little while. Maybe give them a break. I don't know. I think I'm leaning towards Judgment Day for this.
I don't know.
Let me ask you this.
I get your point. Like I get it.
Let me ask you this then. If they lose, Rhea Ripley said that there will basically be repercussions. And she's gonna just take things over in a way. At least she's gonna make some. Right. Do you think she becomes not only the overall leader, but do you think she kicks anyone out?
I mean, honestly, I kind of already saw her as the leader, to be honest with you. So.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
well, do you see her taking anyone out?
Kicks anybody out? I don't know.
What do you see?
I don't see them winning. I don't see them winning. But then, I mean, maybe I should change my mind. Maybe they will win, and them being tag team partners. I guess you know what? I will flip it because I can't really think of another way. Because I don't think, like you said, it's a proper time for them to break up. Because I don't see, like, if she kicks somebody out, I don't see her kicking out Damian Priest. Because much as I love Damian Priest, I don't think he's ready to go out by himself yet. I don't think that's a good idea. Kicking Finn Balor out, it's like, so does he team with JD and go after the Judgment Day? Like,
I actually see JD helping them win, and I think the change is JD joins Judgment Day, which would then lead to even more chaos within the group later down the road.
I will go ahead and piggyback off of what you said. I'm switching over. I'm gonna just say they should win. I mean, I don't know. Story-wise, there's so many ways you can go, but I'm like, which one is the right way? I just don't think the one way I just really don't think is gonna happen is I don't see Rhea kicking Damian out. I don't see that. So maybe she kicks Finn out. and then he goes with JD, and then he goes, on a crusade again. Would you make Finn the face? They're all better as heel, so.
I just don't see them.
That's why I don't write for WWE.
Yeah,
and maybe that's why I think that they really do. So I don't.
Yeah, I don't think you could turn them face. I don't think you could turn either one face. Now, what I could see eventually, though, I could see like JD joining, and then JD eventually like taking over for Finn. So the way I look at it is like if like for example, so one of the great things about Bullet Club, and this is going back to Finn's old days, is the leader always gets kicked out, and then the person that takes his place is the new leader. Like whoever kicked them out becomes the new leader. I can see them doing something like that, where Finn does get kicked out eventually, but he gets kicked out by JD, and then JD is like the new leader of Judgment Day. I can see that.
I mean,
and then that's how Finn becomes the huge face again, and then it'll be JD leading Judgment Day, and then that's the feud right there. You know what? You could book it. I am. You know me.
Okay. I was gonna be behind you, but I don't know about that.
Now, I've been writing for them for years now. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you're trying to throw me off.
The Jimmy thing. I wrote it. I texted.
Okay, well, I mean, again, you can do all of that, and yet you can't get me Damian Priest's phone number. That's why I'm not even trying to hear you right now. So.
Okay. Well, I'm just telling you, it's gonna happen eventually. But I see Judgment Day being kind of like a Bullet Club version. I can see it. I see it. It's gonna be down the line. It's not gonna be anytime soon, but it's gonna be down the line. I see it. And it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Unless they make Dominic the leader, that would also be cool too. But either way. All right, let's get on to the next match. Just real quick. Let's see. Mysterio, Austin Theory. I think you were the one that predicted you were the one that predicted this potentially leading to Santos Escobar becoming like the old Santos. I think you hit it right there on the head. I think you're 100% correct. I think that Rey Mysterio winning the title is actually the downfall for LWO, and I think you were right about that. What do you say?
Can't really argue with somebody saying that I was right about something. So, no, I mean, yeah, I think that's the best move. LWO, I think it was cool. It got some exposure, but I feel like, Santos and them were better as heels. So, and like I said, you don't even get to see, the other two, Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. I don't know if there's like an intro, you just don't get to see them. I think Zelina's doing fine. Zelina's doing fine by herself. Like, I wouldn't have a problem with her. I mean, I think she's better as a heel in the long run, but she's been doing well. But I think Santos and, Cruz and Joaquin, I think they're better as heels. And again, kind of like with Ray, like Ray's probably not going to be, winning the world title, kind of like Miz, but he's definitely still has that star power, that credibility, to where I think a feud with Ray would be something good for Santos. But I still see big things for Santos, so I hope I'm right. I hope that.
I think you are. All right. Well, we have basically talked about every match here on the Payback card. I guess 1 out of 10. How hype are you for this card?
fans if I can get a respite from my kids to watch it. No, maybe like 7.58. Like I said, it kind of snuck up on me. So, okay. But no, I mean, I have faith, and I kind of hope there aren't any more matches. I mean, you said Io and Bianca, but again, I think I like what they're doing. Instead of trying to just throw stuff on the card, these matches, they mean something. I feel like every match means something, or has ramifications that will mean something later on down the line. So I think just having, I understand what you said about having Io, she just won the title, having her defend, that's good, but I don't think it's, me personally, like, I'm fine with her not being on the card. You know, give that a little bit more time. They just beat Bianca up, so just give that a little time, and then maybe the next one they can have a go, or maybe they can have a go on a SmackDown, but I don't think it needs to be necessarily on Payback. I'm fine with letting it breathe. This is the era of letting things breathe, and I'm all for it.
Gotcha. No, okay. You got me sold on it. I think you're right. I think you're right about that. Keep it off the card. Let these 6 matches breathe. Let them have a lot of time. Because I mean, I can see the street fight having a lot of time. The Shinsuke Seth Rollins match, I want that to get a lot of time as well. So no, I think you're right. That might be the best decision. Plus, you do have the Grayson Waller effect with Cody Rhodes, so I think that's going to, you know, I don't know what they're gonna do with that. But maybe that leads Cody into what's next for him. Maybe he announces he wants the winner of the heavyweight title match or something. I don't know. But that would be pretty cool. But yeah, 6 matches I guess would be fine for this card. I think that's all we really can say about this PLE WWE Payback, which is going to be this Saturday. It is actually a big weekend. I mean, we got also on Sunday, we got AEW All Out, which is the week after All In. So this is going to be another big weekend for wrestling. I mean, we were just talking about it earlier, but yeah, having 2 big events already. Again, I gotta love it. Gotta love where we're at with the wrestling world for sure. So,
yep.
All right. Well, Sasha, is there any last words you want to say to the people before we head out of here?
No, guys. Just if you learn anything from the past week, I know we always say somebody passes, but seriously, just you got something, go after it. Don't be afraid of, going out there and getting what you want. Continue to be gracious and kind to people, because, when it is your time, you want people to remember you, celebrate your life, and, that's one thing I would hope. When I go, just please remember that I was a nice person and decent, and I went for things. Leave a lasting memory, because, as far as I know, we only get one of these, so just do it to the best of your abilities. And I'm happy. I know this was a tough week to get on here, but I'm happy that we did. And, wrestling community. And please, guys, please remember how you feel right now as a wrestling fan. I'm not saying that you can't disagree, you can't have differing opinions, but please remember, at the end of the day, the men and women that entertain us, they are human beings. Just like me and you. They bleed, they cry, they smile, they laugh, and ultimately, they will pass away just like we are. So before you keyboard warriors, whoever going to go out there and say something out of pocket that you wouldn't say to their face, please remember how you feel right now. And be decent to these people. And be kind. And remember this, because I don't want to hear nobody saying something completely out of pocket. And then if something happens to somebody, it's like, oh man, they were like, no. Just keep that same energy. You can dislike the character, you can not like how a creative decision is going, but keep keep it respectful as far as the people that entertain us, because that's who they are. They're people. So that's it. That's what I just wanted everybody to remember.
Well, that's I can't top that one. So I'm just gonna let everybody know. Make sure you you can listen to us on Spotify. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts. We'll be soon on YouTube as well. I am currently working on that. It's taking a lot longer than I thought it would take, but we'll be up there on YouTube very, very soon. I want to say thank you to everybody for listening. Me and Sasha definitely do appreciate it. And you know what? I guess the only thing I can say is this. I think this is episode 10. Of the Ring Champs podcast. We've done a great job so far. We have a lot more coming in this. We got a lot more things to go after. We want to have a successful podcast, but we also have goals, and we want to be one of those top podcasts, wrestling podcasts in the world, and we're going for that. We're definitely going to go after that goal. We're not stopping. We got a lot more ahead of us, long road ahead of us, but we'll get there one day. So that's just all I wanted to say, and add on to what Sasha said. Just go after it, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So all you other wrestling podcasts out there, just know we're coming. Ring Champs is coming.
Yep.
Run.
Adios.
Run. All right, Sasha, we are out of here. Thank you guys for listening. This is episode 10 of the Ring Champs podcast. I'm just Fino. That's Sasha Legit King. We out of here. Peace.